Okay, so you know the alphabet now. After the first 2 weeks of class, you should have finished the first 8 weeks, the first 8 chapters of Joe Wilson's book, Translating Buddhism from Tibetan. And you should know how to read words and to sound out complicated words and pronounce them more or less properly and write them in your own handwriting. So I'm going to tell you today how the class will proceed from now on. From this third week onward, we'll be using a new piece of software called Nettle, and I'm going to remind you of a couple things on Blackboard that will help you as you keep going in the semester. So first of all, on Blackboard, here, I want to remind you to use the tasks checklist. So it's over on the left menu, and I've added some new tasks for the upcoming week. I can see which of you have done which of these tasks. So it's very helpful for me if you can check off the tasks on this checklist. Also, notice that I've posted some new office hours on Blackboard Collaborate for this coming week. So here there are 2 options for this week. This is a time for you to ask questions. I will be present there, and we'll just hang out in that Blackboard Collaborate room until you have no more questions, and then we'll hang up. So it's a part of your participation grade for you to come to office hours or participate on Facebook or participate on the discussion board. So please stay on top of that. You can also, by the way, set up your own study groups on Facebook or Blackboard, and I encourage you to do that, especially as the work gets more difficult as you're studying over the semester, or if you are confused in the middle of the night and you want to ask questions, you may find others in the class on Facebook, for example, especially. Okay, I also want to tell you about Quizlet. So this is Quizlet online, as most of you have been using this already. You may have been learning the alphabet using Quizlet. You've certainly been using the basic vocabulary list. And from now on, after we've finished this first 2 weeks of class, you'll be starting with these lists here, Unit 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. So I just want to show you a couple things that not all of you may have noticed. So these are the lists. These are the words for the list that you've just been studying. And you probably can't see class progress, but I can see that. Oops, I'm going to take that away so you don't see the names. But I can see exactly who's been using Quizlet and who hasn't. So this, again, is part of your homework grade. So make sure you're taking advantage of this as a way to learn new vocabulary. I can see, for example, things like this, details about who's got the best score on scatter. It looks like no one's played gravity yet. But you can do this on your phone. You can get it offline and do it on your phone as you're out and about. So this is a good way to learn vocabulary. Just checking my list of things to tell you. Oh yes, I want to point out to you that as we go on in the semester, some of the vocabulary lists are very long. So for example, Unit 1, starting this week, has 219 terms. You will not be required to memorize all of these terms. You have to know as many of them as you can. You should strive to know as many of them as you can. And however, I'd like you to think of this vocabulary list really as a glossary. So all of the exercises you'll be doing in the upcoming chapters, their words, the words in all of those exercises are found in these lists on Quizlet. So if you don't remember all the words, you can at least use Quizlet to look up the words that are in the exercises. I will tell you before the next quiz which of the words exactly you'll be required to know. So I would say carry on with using Quizlet to study vocabulary, memorize as many of them as you can. But if you don't memorize but I'm not expecting you to memorize, say, in this case, 219 words this week. So we'll come back to that in a week or two before the next quiz. I will let you know exactly which words you'll see on the quiz. So the next thing I want to tell you about is Nettle, which is our website that we'll be using from now on in the course. This is where most of your homework and practice content will be, and all of the lectures for the course. So this is, you can study this text on your own when you're ready. You can read the copyright message, the about message to learn more about it. I'm going to scroll that down. You can see down here at the bottom there's an FAQ, which has a bit of detail about which browsers have been having a little bit of trouble with this website. Basically, it would be best for you to use Chrome as your browser. And so you will receive, or you have already received on Monday some login information. So then you can log into Nettle. You'll come to our class materials, Intro to Classical Tibetan. This is our course that we're taking. And then you'll be going to units. There will be all of the units listed here under this menu. And this is where you'll be doing your studying for Unit 1, which is coming up this week. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to see here, is the lecture for the week, which is based on Joe Wilson's Chapter 9. In this chapter, you'll learn about the 6 categories of words in classical Tibetan. I'll pause that here. So this is a lecture based on Chapter 9 of Joe Wilson. Here you see this little button over here. You can expand this. This has the menu or the table of contents of this lecture. You can see the total. It's 18 minutes long. And you can sort of skip ahead or a few different ways of skip back and forth. In the next few slides, choose the example that mimics the proper Tibetan to find where you want to go as you're studying this lesson. So you can close that. Then I'll show you the next part of each lesson, each unit. Quizlet is now embedded into Nettle. You can still keep using Quizlet separately if you want to. However, it's here too. You can customize it to start with Tibetan, say. You can play. These are the vocabulary words.
Cyclic existence.
Ling.
Island. Continent.
Ling.
Okay. You can also do all of the other games. So you can do the scatter game right here within our exercise. Within our Nettle website. If you're logged into Quizlet right here, as I am on this browser, then your score, your account will also be seen in here in Nettle. Okay, so another kind of exercise that will be new for you now is called a sequencing exercise. So as you will know, if you've read Joe Wilson's Chapter 9, word order is something that you really have to start now to think about a lot in Tibetan. And so sequencing exercises help you to learn Tibetan word order. So it says, rearrange the following words so they make the phrase below in correct Tibetan word order. I can close that instruction right here now. And what you're going to do here is drag the words into the right order. When I have an answer I think is correct, I mark it correct. And I got it correct. Then I go to the next one. Red is a color. Marpo Kadok Yin. And this is the tsek, which is the she, which indicates the end of a sentence. So I mark that and I got it correct. I'm just going to do this one wrong. Marpo Gu, red robe. If I mark it and it turns out to be incorrect, I'll see this message here. Now, if I'm confused, let's go to a next one. Suppose I really don't know anything about how to answer this question. I can turn on colors, which will tell me that these 2 words are nouns. That might help in some cases. And I think as you start practicing, you'll get a sense of how that would help. Pumbe Kadok. Mark the answer. I got that correct. So here, if I turn on the colors, I'll see here's an adjective and here are 2 nouns. And that may help me. So this, I've completed 5% here, and there are exercises that will go, when you've completed all the exercises, it will go all the way, the bar will go all the way to the right here. So I'll close that for a second. We'll come back to it in a minute. The next type of exercise you need to work on is identifying elements. Here, again, one of the most difficult things in reading Tibetan is to just figure out which word is a noun and which word is a verb, for example. So this exercise will help you start to learn about that. So this first example, 1 of 58, includes one noun and one adjective. So first I want to find the noun. Semchen means sentient beings, so I'm correct. Gun is an adjective, so that's correct. Let's suppose I do this wrong. Maybe I think sangye is a verb. That's not correct. Yin is actually the verb. So the verbs are all blue. The nouns are all this brownish color. So there are two nouns. So go through all of these. This will help you to learn vocabulary. It'll help you to understand word order because these phrases are in the right word order. And it'll help you to get a sense of the task of reading Tibetan, which is, first of all, finding the verb, finding the nouns, finding the adjectives, and seeing how they relate to each other. So I'll close that. And then the last thing you'll do in each unit is a reading sample. Listen to this reading sample and say the words out loud so that you can hear the sound here. So I would say as you're listening to this, you should be reading along, and you should also be saying it out loud. So let's go back to the beginning. Jitsun, Mila, Shepa Dorje, Dini, Nyanang, Drupa Pukna, Shukbe, Tse, Rechungbe, Getru Tata. So practice like that. This is meant to help you improve your pronunciation and also help you learn to read in a way that indicates your understanding of the meaning. As you may already have figured out, Tibetan sentences there are no spaces between the words, right? So one of the challenging things as a beginner is to learn how to pause when you're reading out loud, especially when you don't know what the word means, what the sentence means. So this will help you to practice that skill. Okay, so those are the features of a exercise. Now I just realized that I'm not logged in. When I log in, I can see this tab here that's my progress. So this tells me that you remember I was doing this exercise, I made one mistake and I did a few correct. So this tells me that I'm in progress with that exercise, and this is my score so far. I finished the reading sample according to this. In fact, I didn't really finish it, so I might uncheck that. Do I want to start over? Yes. So let's say I finished the lecture. I check that box, and then you can send me some feedback. And those emails will come to me. This also gives me an understanding of what you've finished, and it helps you know over the course of a week where you are and how much you've completed what you still need to do. So you can come back to your My Progress screen and keep track of where you are. This page, the unit home, will also keep track of where I was the last time I logged into this website. All right, finally, so I want to say something about the study process for this week and weeks upcoming. I would recommend the following procedure as you're studying a given unit in a week. So first, I would say skim through the book chapter in Joe Wilson's book. Next, I would say start learning the vocabulary in Quizlet. Then read the book chapter more carefully while you're watching the lecture video. So the lecture videos go in order of what's presented in the book. I would have your book in front of you while you're looking at the book while you're looking at the lecture and listening to me talk about the chapter. Then I would start working on the exercises in Nettle while also learning the vocabulary, continuing to learn the vocabulary. And finally, I would do the homework assignment on Blackboard at the end of the week. So that's it for today's update, this week's update, and let me know if you have any questions.